Hello students, I am Dr. Asha Kumari Giri from the Department of Physiology, GMC Betia. In the previous class, we have studied about the mode of muscle contraction, in which we have studied contractile and the elastic component of a muscle, the concept about muscle length and the motor unit. Now in today's class we will study about the contractile response. Okay, in the previous class I have gone through the isometric and the isotonic contraction. In this class we will study about the single muscle twitch and the factors affecting force of contraction. Now coming to the single muscle twitch. What is single muscle twitch? It refers to a typical contractile response of a skeletal muscle to a single stimulus. Okay, it has three phases: latent phase, the contraction period, and the relaxation period. Okay, here in the figure you can see the different phases, okay, different time periods of a simple muscle twitch. Now a single muscle twitch recorded under isotonic contraction from a frog gastrocnemius sciatic preparation. Okay, it shows following things. In the figure you can see there is a black line. Okay, at the end of the black line you can see an arrow at the 0 mark of the time graph. Okay, this arrow mark is called the point of stimulation. It denotes the time when the stimulus is applied. Okay, the total duration of a muscle twitch is 0.1 second. Okay, and it shows three phases that I have told you. And you can see here after the point of stimulation there is a blue line which is called the latent period, and after there is no increase in the contraction. Okay, you cannot see the rise of the graph here in the latent period. After the latent period there is rise in the graph, that is the increase in the contraction of the muscle, which is shown by the red line. This is called the contraction period. And then comes the after the complete contraction the muscle starts relaxing. This is called the relaxation period, and it is denoted by the green line in the graph. Okay, and the point at the in between the red and the green line is called the point of maximum contraction. Okay, and the line and the one line between the green and the black one is called point of maximum relaxation. Okay, coming to the latent period. Why this latent period is seen in the single muscle twitch graph? You can see in the graph that there is no any movement in the muscle, there is no increase, there is no rise in the graph. Okay, because it is the time interval between the point of stimulation and the point of start of contraction. And you can say that why this latent period is seen. The reason behind that is it occurs due to the time taken by the impulse to travel from the point of stimulation on the nerve to the neuromuscular junction. Means for the phenomena which occurs inside the muscle cell, okay, muscle fiber, for the muscle contraction, it is that when the impulse is given it will travel along the muscle fiber and goes up to the neuromuscular junction. It is the time taken for the impulse to come up to the neuromuscular junction, then the neuromuscular transmission, by the excitation contraction coupling. Then what happens? The time taken by the chemical events to cause muscle contraction. It is also the time taken for the development of tension in the muscle, and also by the inertia of recording lever. Means this graph is formed on the kymograph, which is an apparatus where the muscle is kept in the lab, and it is set up for looking the contraction of the muscle, and this contraction is recorded on the kymograph, and it is a complete instrument where the inertia of the instrument, that is the lever which records the graph, should be overcome. Okay. Now coming to the contraction period. Contraction phase extends from the point of contraction to the point of maximum contraction, and is recorded as upward movement of the lever. During this phase, the muscle shortens by about 20% of its resting length. The magnitude of contraction is affected by many factors that I will tell you in detail in later half of the slide. Now coming to the relaxation phase. The contraction phase is followed by the relaxation phase, during which the muscle is stretched back to its original length. It is recorded as downward movement of the recording system. Okay. In general, the relaxation phase is longer than the contraction phase. Now coming to the duration of twitch. What is it? The total duration of twitch varies with the type of muscle fiber. Means I have told you about the fast white muscle fiber and the slow red muscle fiber. Okay. Here the fast muscle fiber, which are the extraocular muscles of hand, extraocular muscles, and the muscle of hand for the fine movements. They have shorter contraction time, about only 0.2025 seconds, and the slow red muscle fibers that are of the back muscle have longer contraction time, that is of 0.1 second. The total duration also varies from species to species. Okay. In human skeletal muscle, the duration of twitch is 30 to 50 millisecond, in comparison to that of frog, that is 100 millisecond. Now coming to the factors which affect the contractile response. Okay, the factors which can affect contractile response of a skeletal muscle are strength of stimulus, the frequency of stimulus, the load on the muscle, that are the preload and afterload, initial length of muscle, and the temperature. Now coming to the strength of stimulus. Okay, a single muscle fiber obeys the all or none law. Okay, it means a subthreshold stimulus evokes no response, and with threshold, maximum, and supramaximal stimuli, the contractile response remains constant. Now what happens when the whole muscle okay, when the whole muscle is stimulated with different intensity, different intensity of stimuli, the response obtained will be graded. Okay, when a muscle is stimulated, okay, with different type of stimuli, the response that is seen are of different type and graded, means it will go on increasing. What will happen then? When a motor neuron is activated, all the muscle fibers innervated by the motor neuron are stimulated and contract, that we have seen. Okay, The activation of one motor neuron will result in a weak muscle contraction. Now what happens when we will go on giving stimulus? The activation of more motor neuron will result in more muscle fiber being activated, and therefore a stronger muscle contraction. This is called motor unit recruitment. Okay, motor unit recruitment is a measure of how many motor neurons are activated in a particular next fiber. You can see here there are three type of motor neurons are activated, and therefore this is a measure of how many muscle fibers of that muscle are activated. Okay, the higher the recruitment, the stronger the muscle contraction will be. Okay, and the motor unit are generally recruited in order of smallest to the largest as contraction increases. In the figure you can see here, as the increase in the number of motor units, there is in the graph of the contraction. Okay, now with the minimal activity, only few motor units are recruited for the activity. With the increasing activity that I have told you before, more and more motor units are recruited into activity. This phenomenon is called motor unit summation. Means there is summation of the stimulus and there is increase in the contraction. Here in the figure you can see, first there is a single muscle twitch. Okay, and there is complete graph, there is contraction, there is relaxation, and again after second stimulus there is complete contraction and relaxation. Now in the second graph you can see there is twitch summation. Means when the next stimulus is given, means more motor units are recruited, then there is increase in the contraction. Means there is increase in the size of the graph, and there is increase in the length of the graph also. Means two twitches get summated, and it means there is increase, the muscle is not relaxed and the contraction period is increased, and the force of contraction is also increased. Now coming to the contraction period. Contraction phase extends from the point of contraction to the point of maximum contraction and is recorded as upward movement of the lever. During this phase, the muscle shortens by about 20% of its resting length. The magnitude of contraction is affected by many factors that I will tell you in detail in later half of the slide. Now coming to the relaxation phase. The contraction phase is followed by the relaxation phase, during which the muscle is stretched back to its original length. It is recorded as downward movement of the recording system. Okay, in general the relaxation phase is longer than the contraction. First is the discrete response. Okay, what is discrete response? When the frequency of stimulation is such that the next successive stimulus falls after completion of relaxation phase of the previous twitch, then the succeeding contraction obtained will be brief interval, then there will be a brief interval between them and a complete individual twitches. You can see in the figure below there is you can see here when the stimulus is seen in the relaxation phase, there will be increase in the force of contraction and the interval is decreased. means with each successive twitch has increased force of contraction till a maximum beneficial effect is achieved. This is called the staircase effect or the trapeze effect. Okay, you can see in the graph that means there is difference between the single muscle twitch and discrete response. That is, the second stimulus falls after complete relaxation of the previous twitch in a single muscle twitch, but in discrete response the second stimulus falls in the relaxation phase, not after the completion of relaxation phase. That's why there is the next stimulus starts just in the relaxation phase, and thus there will be increase in the force of contraction and decrease in the time interval between the two. Okay, now coming to incomplete tetanus or clonus. When the frequency of multiple stimuli is such that the next successive stimulus falls on the relaxation phase of the previous twitch, then the succeeding contraction obtained will be superimposed over the previous twitch due to incomplete summation of waves. This state is referred to as state of subtetanus or incomplete tetanus or clonus. Now coming to the complete tetanus. When the frequency of multiple stimuli is such that the next successive stimulus falls from second half of latent period to contraction phase of the previous twitch, means that is before relaxation begins, then due to complete summation effect the muscle will remain in state of sustained smooth and forceful contraction called tetanus or tetanic contraction. During complete tetanus, the tension developed in the muscle is 4 times greater than that during the individual muscle twitch. Here you can see the effect of frequency. Okay, in the first graph, that is purple, you can see the twitches are complete and the next stimulation are given after the completion of the relaxation phase. And now in the second trapeze stage, you can see that the time period between the stimulus is decreased and the next stimulus is given just in the relaxation phase. Okay, and so you can see there is increase in the force of contraction, and you can see the height of the graph is increasing. Okay, started increasing. Now in the third, you can see the time period is again decreased and the frequency is increased, and you can see there is wave summation and incomplete tetanus, which I have told you now. And when the frequency goes on increasing, there you can see complete tetanus. Now coming to effect of load. Okay, load is the force exerted by the weight of an object on the muscle. The force exerted by the contracting muscle on the object is known as muscle tension. Okay, thus the muscle load and the muscle tension are two opposing forces. The load is acting on the muscle is of two types: free load and afterload. Now coming to the effect of free load. What is free load? A load which starts acting on a muscle before it starts to contract is called free load. Means a free load on a muscle in an intact body is filling water from a tap by holding a bucket in hand. means the force has started before the muscle has started contracting. Okay, now the free load increases the force of contraction and work efficiency of the muscle. The free load stretches the muscle passively, producing a passive tension across the muscle. This passive tension increases the force of muscle contraction in two ways. First, by increasing the initial length of the muscle to its resting length, at which maximum force is generated, and by adding an elastic recoil force to the muscle during its contraction. Now coming to effect of initial length on force of contraction. Okay, means the force of contraction depends upon the initial length of muscle. According to Starling law, the force of contraction is a function of initial length of muscle fibers. Therefore, up to physiological limit, the greater the initial length, greater is the force of contraction. Now coming to the length tension relationship. Okay, when a muscle is removed from the body, it shortens because muscle in the bodies are in a state of slight stretch. Okay, the length of the muscle when it is detached from its bony attachment is called equilibrium length, which I have told you in the previous class. Here in the graph you can see a apparatus seated. Okay, this is apparatus which are seen in the lab. This apparatus helps in the measurement of the muscle contraction. Okay, this apparatus also draws the graph of the simple muscle twitch, which I have shown you in the previous slide. Okay, in this slide we are going to this apparatus is going to draw the length tension relationship graph. This can be plotted by measuring isometric tension at different muscle length in the isolated muscle preparation. Here you can see the muscle stimulus is given from outside, and you can see the muscle is fixed at both end, and so by changing the position of the uh, attachment we can change the length of the muscle. Okay, and you can study the relationship between the length and tension. Okay, now coming to the contraction period. Contraction phase extends from the point of contraction to the point of maximum contraction and is recorded as upward movement of the lever. During this phase, the muscle shortens by about 20% of its resting length. The magnitude of contraction is affected by many factors that I will tell you in detail in later half of the slide. Now coming to the relaxation phase. The contraction phase is followed by the relaxation phase, during which the muscle is stretched back to its original length. It is recorded as downward movement of the recording system. Okay, in general the relaxation phase is longer than the contraction phase. Now coming to the duration of twitch. What is it? The total duration of twitch varies with the type of muscle fiber. Means I have told you about the fast white muscle fiber and the slow red muscle fiber. Okay, here the fast muscle fiber, which are the extraocular muscles of hand, extraocular muscles and the muscle of hand for the fine movements. They have shorter contraction time, about only 0.2025 seconds, and the slow red muscle fibers that are of the back muscle have longer contraction time, that is of 0.1 second. The total duration also varies from species to species. Okay, in human skeletal muscle, the duration of twitch is 30 to 50 millisecond in comparison to that of frog, that is 100 millisecond. The effect of afterload. What is afterload? Afterload refers to the load which acts on the muscle after the beginning of muscular contraction. Thus, the afterload opposes the force produced by a muscle contraction. The work done in an afterloaded muscle is less than that of a freeloaded muscle. The example is lifting any object from the ground. Means first the muscle contracts and the force is direct opposite to the contraction of the muscle. Coming to the force velocity relationship. The force velocity curve is plotted by noting the velocity of shortening of muscle with progressively increasing load on the muscle. Following inferences can be drawn from the force velocity curve. Here you can see when the velocity is maximum, the load is 0. Maximum velocity of shortening, the load is 0. Okay. When load is 0, the muscle contracts rapidly and the velocity of muscle shortening is maximum. Okay. As the load increases, the velocity of shortening decreases. With further increase in the load, a stage comes when the muscle is unable to lift the load. At this point, muscle contracts isometrically. Isometrically means there is increase in the tension of the muscle, but there is no change in the length of the muscle. Okay, the tension will increase. Between the two extremes of zero load and the immovable load, all contraction have variable duration of isometric and isotonic contraction. In force velocity curve, okay, the point of maximum efficiency of the muscle is empty and it lies about one third of the figure. Means one third from the above line and the one third from the below line. The point where the both when extended, one third from the vertical axis and one third from the horizontal axis. When these are uh, moved on the graph, the point of contact is called the empty, where there is maximum efficiency of the muscle is seen. Now coming to the effect of temperature. The contractile response is altered due to the effect of temperature. At moderately high temperature, approx 40 degrees centigrade, there occurs an increase in amplitude of muscle curve occurs due to increase in isotonic shortening of muscle. This occurs due to increase in the internal Viscoelastic resistance means the viscoelastic resistance will decrease. The velocity of contraction also increases. At low temperature, that is 5 to 10 degree the centigrade, the reverse change occurs, means the viscoelastic resistance will increase, okay, the velocity of contraction will decrease. However, the effect of cold are reversed. Now at high temperature, there occurs coagulation of the muscle protein, leading to stiffness and shortening of the muscle. This condition is called heat rigor. It is an irreversible phenomenon, means when the protein of the muscle are coagulated, this cannot be reversed. Now there are some other type of rigors also, that are the cold rigors, the calcium rigors, and the rigor mortis. The rigor mortis you have gone through in the previous classes. Cold rigors, it occurs due to exposure to severe cold. It is also a reversible phenomena. And the calcium rigor, it occurs due to increased calcium content in the muscle fiber. It is also a reversible phenomena.